In the mid-19th century, the United States was a nation divided, not just by the simmering tensions of the Civil War, but by an unforgiving, massive physical void. To get from New York to San Francisco, you had two choices, both of which felt like a death sentence. You could spend 6 months in a wagon, praying you didn't starve or perish in the Sierra Nevada, or you could sail 12,000 miles around the tip of South America. America was a continental giant with a broken spine. But in 1862, amidst the bloodiest year of the Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln signed an act that many called a suicide pact, the Pacific Railway Act. It was a bet on a future that no one was sure would even exist. The task was simple to state, but impossible to execute. Build a continuous rail line from the Missouri River to the Pacific Ocean. Two companies, the Union Pacific and the Central Pacific, were pitted against each other in a race that would become the greatest construction feat in human history. This wasn't just about laying tracks, it was a war against geography itself. On the Western Front, starting in Sacramento, the Central Pacific faced its first impossible barrier, the Sierra Nevada mountains. These weren't just hills, they were solid granite walls rising thousands of feet into the sky. The engineers were told it couldn't be done. How do you put a train through a mountain? The answer was found in the grit of over 10,000 Chinese immigrants. These men were the unsung heroes of the American West. Working for meager wages in the harshest conditions imaginable, they were lowered down cliff faces in hand-woven wicker baskets. Suspended hundreds of feet in the air, they chipped away at the granite, set black powder charges, and pulled themselves up just seconds before the blast. They progressed by inches, not miles. During the winter of 1866, the snow was so deep they lived in tunnels beneath the drifts, working in total darkness to carve the summit tunnel. They didn't just build a railroad, they conquered the impossible through sheer collective human will. Meanwhile, coming from the east, the Union Pacific was fighting its own demons. They were racing across the Great Plains, facing scorching heat, lack of water, and constant raids. This was hell on wheels. The workforce was a melting pot of Civil War veterans, both Union and Confederate, and Irish immigrants. Men who had been shooting at each other years prior were now swinging sledges in rhythm. They lived in portable tent cities that moved as the tracks moved. The financial barrier was just as steep as the mountains. The government paid the companies in land and bonds for every mile of track laid, leading to a frantic, often corrupt, but high-stakes sprint. It was a gamble of billions of dollars in today's currency, staked on the hope that a unified country would actually use it. As the years pressed on, the lines began to close the gap. The tension in the country was palpable. By 1869, the 100-year bet was nearing its climax. The two teams met at Promontory Summit, Utah. On May 10th, the atmosphere was electric. A polished California laurel tie was laid, and a golden spike was prepared. The telegraph, the internet of the 19th century, was connected to the spike and the hammer so that the entire nation could hear the final blows in real time. When the hammer struck, the word "done" flashed across telegraph offices from Maine to California. The impact was instantaneous. A journey that once took 6 agonizing months was reduced to just 1 week. The impossible physical barrier had been shattered. But the real story isn't the wood and the iron, it's the transformation of the American spirit. The Transcontinental Railroad didn't just move people, it moved ideas. It gave birth to the standard time zones we use today because trains needed schedules. It sparked an economic explosion that turned a war-torn country into a global superpower. It proved that in America, impossible is just a dare. The lesson for us today is clear. We often look at our own mountains, whether they are financial struggles, career dead ends, or societal divisions, and we think they are immovable. But the 100-year bet proves that when we combine collective grit with a refusal to accept no as an answer, we could bridge any chasm. The tracks laid by those 19th century workers aren't just a path through the mountains. They're a monument to the fact that persistence is the only thing that can truly change the world. America was built by people who were told it couldn't be done and who decided to do it anyway. The Golden Spike wasn't just the end of a railroad, it was the beginning of the American century.